All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning on this Tuesday, and we're going to go ahead and crank out the rooting guide post-mortem for week number 6 in the NFL. Just take a look at the other games, see how they may have affected the Seahawks one way or the other. And it's really shaping up to where if you look at the conference, the NFC, there isn't necessarily a team in the NFC that is like really terrifying as a team that is currently, as a fan of somebody who's currently one of the mediocre teams in the NFC, but there is going to be a big, like, flood of decent teams in the NFC, it looks like. And that's going to make things very, very messy at the end of the season, I think. So, a great example of this would be let's start with the first game on Sunday. The Bears. Bears play the Jaguars on Sunday, London game. The Bears are 4-2, and they're currently not in the playoffs, right? Like you're looking at the NFC, the Vikings are at the top right now. They're the undefeated team. I I still don't think they're a juggernaut or anything, but they deserve where they've gotten so far. I'll give them credit. They're doing some things very, very right now, but I don't look at them as a juggernaut, right? And then the second best team is probably Detroit, I guess. And they didn't look that good the first few weeks of the season. They've turned it on lately. Um, I would say that after that Cowboys game, you could say maybe they've turned a corner and now they're just going to crank it out. But even in that game, they lose Aiden Hutchinson, who was maybe the best defensive player in the league for the season. Like that's your second best team in all likelihood right now. Maybe you're saying, okay, Green Bay's turning it around now. Maybe they're starting to crank it up now that they got their quarterback back, although both of their losses came in games where they had said starting quarterback. So at the top, it's not super strong. I don't see a juggernaut that just makes me think, yeah, we're going to lose by 8 touchdowns if we play that team. But on the other side, you have a quality team like the Bears, who took care of business this week, obviously. And they're 4-2. They have a really good defense. They've got great weapons on that offense. Caleb Williams is starting to look like the Caleb Williams that I thought we were going to get this season. And he's good. The only thing they struggle with is the offensive line. It's a good team. And they're not even in the playoffs right now at 4-2. They're in the bottom of their division. So this could create a big logjam where even a decent team, like even a 9-win or even a 10-win team, cannot get in. So that's kind of the thing that I'm taking away from the state of the NFC right now. It's weak at the top, but we have a very deep roster of teams that are good. And we'll see if that shakes up as the year goes on. But I think the Bears are a perfect kind of representation of what I'm talking about. Cardinals, Packers. I mean, obviously the Packers riding the ship is dangerous, but we need these division rivals to go away. So Arizona taking the fat L, obviously going to be good. Their 2 wins have come against division rivals, games we pretty much definitely wanted them to win. So, I mean, I will take that any day of the week. The Cardinals have basically had, from my perspective, a perfect start to the season. So, happy about that. Colts, Titans, can't really say that matters either way. You want to poach somebody from the Titans in a trade, maybe, I guess, but I don't know if we're even thinking about that much right now. I mean, the RRH trade was one thing, right? We got him for almost free, but going beyond that, I don't know. So I don't even know if that's a consideration. Texans, Patriots. Patriots are not going to be helpful in the strength of schedule department. Looks like they're just going to keep losing, and they lost this week. So not really what you want, although not really a factor. Not really going to matter. Buccaneers, Saints. I did say I think I wanted Tampa to win, but I really could have been talked out of it. It's another situation where I kind of wish one team would just run away with the South. It looks like it's going to be either at this point Tampa or Atlanta, of course. And then the other teams would just go away, like the Saints. And I think that's probably preferable at this point. especially because I think we're now at the point where, as Seahawks fans, you can still be thinking about the playoffs because half the teams get in anyway, or almost half the teams get in. I don't know how much you can be chasing that top seed anymore. You're just concerned with getting in. So a team like the Saints just getting out of the picture is probably a little bit better. But at the same time, Tampa Bay winning is not necessarily what we're looking for either. So I don't know. We're gonna need more time to figure out if that was a desirable outcome for sure or not. Browns Eagles. Browns just not gonna help us out. Can't win a game in the NFC East. Not that I think it matters a ton, but Philly's alive, man. Philly's alive. 20-16. I mean, they they're going to be hanging around, especially in that division. I think that they are clearly not the best team in that division at this point, but they're going to be players for even a wild card spot later, of course. So that's not coming together as we would necessarily like. Commanders, Ravens. Somebody finally knocked off the Commanders. Someone finally told them to knock it off, which great. Pretty much went down the way I was hoping that it would. Commanders remain a threat. They were in that game. They were competitive. They hung around. They made it interesting, and they're going to be a problem. Hopefully, they just run away with that division at this point. Honestly, because not to get ahead of myself here, but I don't take that Cowboys team seriously at all anymore, and there's really nothing they can do the rest of the season that'll make me take them seriously. So hopefully the Commanders just run away with it, and the other teams in that division just fall by the wayside. Chargers, Broncos. Wanted the Broncos to win just for strength of schedule. Not even close. They basically got drilled. I know the final score looks decent, but they got drilled. So not much to report there. It's not really high stakes or even medium stakes, but if you wanted something, then you got nothing. Steelers, Raiders, again, I didn't really have anything for this game. Again, it was just a matter of, do you want Fields to keep playing or do you want to see Russell Wilson? I think Fields is going to be safe, though. I think Fields is probably feeling pretty good about his situation in Pittsburgh, and I think if Wilson wants to play this year, he should be trying to orchestrate some kind of an exit, which could be interesting to watch as the year goes on. That could be a little bit of a soap opera, but it has no material effect on the Seahawks. Just a matter of, as a fan, do you care? Lions, Cowboys, again, it was kind of an interesting game. As a Seahawks fan, who to root for. Objectively speaking, it's not like we can sit here and say, oh, we want the Lions to run away with the division, because at this point it looks like they're not going to, because the Vikings are there. Like, maybe they win it, but I don't think the Vikings are just going to fade and end up some 8-win team this season. Like, the Vikings could start losing games, but they're good enough to hang around, I think, at the minimum. So it's not great that they're winning, but I think a team like Dallas is much more on Seattle's level and could be... There's certainly a more likely scenario where at the end of the year, Seattle and Dallas are battling it out for a final wildcard spot. And I guess we'd probably want the Cowboys to have as many losses as possible, especially in the conference, when that moment comes, because we're not going to have a head-to-head against them. We already lost the head-to-head to the Lions. So, okay, I think that's good. But again, we're not going to know for sure until the end of the year. So I'm going to say that's an agreeable outcome, but we got to see more games this season. Falcons, Panthers. I mean, the Falcons winning is not the worst because it means they're not going to be desperate when they play us next week, which I think there's value there. But at the same time, man, it would have been nice to knock them off a little bit. That NFC South is going to be annoying at the end of the year. We already have a loaded NFC North that could produce 3 playoff teams very easily. So the fact that you've now got the Falcons and Buccaneers looking pretty good in the South. Yeah, the NFC North could produce 3 playoff teams, and then the South could produce 2, and then you've got nothing left for the other 2 divisions except for the division winners. That's a very reasonable scenario because Atlanta has righted the ship after, I'd say, a shaky start and 2 pretty fluky wins They probably have enough to get them over the finish line at this point. So not what I wanted, but at the same time, it's not without value. Bengals knock off the Giants, kind of putting them on the brink. We revived the Giants season by losing to them. Bengals put it back on life support. They lose their next game. You can pretty much call it. You can pretty much cancel it. They're done at that point. 2-5. They don't have the horses to dig themselves out of 2-5. And of course, last night you had the Bills and Jets taking a really, really weird game. Really, really interesting game, and it ended up having the outcome I wanted. I want the Bills to have as many wins as possible when they play us, just so the mentality when going into that game is not one of, oh, we have to win, let's go out and take the Seahawks' heads off. So I think that's good. I'm not saying that it's a big deal, and it's certainly subjective, but I think it's what we want. And that's it for the week, man. That's it for the Rooting Guide Postmortem. Let me know what you guys think. Just speaking generally about the conference, though, like there's a lot of football left to be played, but it is gonna get crowded. And there's a scenario, and I didn't think this would ever happen again, but if things don't start equalizing a little bit, there's a scenario where 10 wins is not going to guarantee you a spot. So as a Seahawks fan that knows that this team is not a juggernaut and they're not going to reel off like 12, 13 wins, that is something that I'm noticing. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks, and more videos coming soon.